Greetings. So, I'm here today to tell you about using astrology to manage your ailments, and I'm on the sign of Cancer. So, for Cancer, this I feel like will be good for anyone that has a womb, a reproductive system, um, because that's what Cancer rules. It rules the breast, the womb, the uterus, and the reproductive center, right? So, any woman, I feel like could benefit from the information I'm getting ready to share, but look at where you have Cancer in your chart because these things affect everyone, right? Like this energy affects everybody, but I feel like it's like definitely important for women, because wombs, breasts, birth, giving birth, right? So um let me tell you about the ailments that Cancer rules. So it rules deep coughs from the stomach. So if you notice that you deal with ailments or issues with the breast and the womb, the uterus, and then also these ones I'm getting ready to tell you, right? That are more specific. So deep cough, stomach coughs, like when you get those deep like like that come from your like gut, those kind of coughs. Then digestive issues, flatulence, diaphragm issues, um depression and emotional distress, gastritis, heartburn, ovarian issues like cysts and polyps, and then just like your period in general. Like if you have really intense periods, this it's probably like it's revolving around like this Cancer energy. Sclerosis, tumors, ulcers, sensitivity, like just naturally sensitive because Cancer, the moon rules Cancer, and so the moon is like that's intuitive, emotional. It rules the tides, the water. So naturally that energy is really sensitive, so like picking up a lot of things, psychic abilities, but also possibly sensitive in your body, um sensitive, and kind of even being able to intuitively sense what's going on with your body on the inside. Like I feel like we don't talk about that enough, that like we can feel when things are off. We can feel when like the internally something is up without having to necessarily go to a doctor for them to tell you that. Like sometimes that's a big part of intuition, is what it can tell you about what's going on the inside of your body. Not saying that you shouldn't go to a doctor to get checked out if you're dealing with these things, but just that don't ignore your intuition. Like use your intuition and that feminine energy, right? Because this is really like feminine energy. Use that to help you sense your body and what's going on with it. That's a big part of a lot of this that I'm about to share. So I said sensitivity, and then Cancer. Cancer rules like the disease, Cancer. And so that gave me an intuitive hit that Cancer may be often caused by emotional things, right? Cancer rules the emotions, one's emotions, and how we deal with them. So it wouldn't surprise me. And I feel like honestly, I've heard that before though, too, that our emotional state affects our body and our ailments. And that's really why I'm doing this series of videos, because I feel like it's so important to be able to have this information to help you through life. But yeah, like I feel like the traumas that we go through, the way that we think about ourselves, the constant thoughts and emotions that we deal with and are subjected to affect us, and I feel like can cause cancer, literally. And so those are, the ailments, right? So those are maybe things that if you deal with, look and see where you have cancer in your chart to see what house may be causing these kind of issues, whether they be small or big, right? Like it's like it could just be flatulence, right? Like, and then maybe there's something that particularly makes you, I don't know, like emotional and makes you like to eat certain things, and then you have flatulence because you eat those things when you're in stress because of that certain house causes you that certain kind of stress, or even just emotional eating, right? Like I feel like women, like we connect to food in that way of like I'm gonna eat, right? And so then that can cause these kind of things, digestive issues, blah, 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 blah. So here's some ways to manage it. So firstly, because cancer rules water, among like, the other two water signs, active water for cancer, I feel like water, like using water as ritual is a really good way to stay spiritually intact, to keep the emotions intact, right? Like visiting the water, offerings with water. Cancer also rules running water. So I'm even thinking like, whether it be a bath, using water in different ways, because it's like using the elements to help you piece things together, right? For cancer, water is going to be a big part of it. Spiritual baths, flowers in the bath, like just supporting that feminine energy. Yeah, visiting the water, and then doing ritual by the water too. I just saw in my mind like I don't know, for some folks who work with the Orisha, like how you put, like you can get a basket and then put certain things in that basket and send it out to the water. I feel like those kind of things would be good for cancer energy. So and as a way to like clear these emotions, and honestly in time help you deal with the ailments too, because I'm going to talk about the period and things that I've personally learned about periods from personal experience. So, what else? Nourishing food. So, like, I feel like it's that mixture between comfort and health. Like, not just comfort food, but the kind of foods that make you feel cozy and they're healthy at the same time. And so I'm thinking like soups, and you know how you can just really make like any kind of soup and it's actually pretty easy. And I learned that because I was watching uh, it's like a big cooking channel on YouTube. It might be NYC cooking, but there was like a woman who was making three different kinds of soups, and it actually looked like it was really easy. Like you just cut up the different vegetables or whatever you're wanting, then you saute it, then you put it in a blender, and then you put it back in the pot, mix that, right? And then put your like dressings and whatever else you want in there. And I'm like, okay, like that's actually really easy. And then that moves me to the other thing, that cancer rules pureeing and juicing. So juicing for you might be good. Like whatever, vegetable juicing, as untasty as it may be. For some folks, like it's good to them, but I know for others it's like bitter and kind of gross. But that's like naturally gonna help that kind of energy and these kind of ailments. And cancer rules vegetables, but then I'm also thinking the color of the vegetable is like even more help because it cancer rules orange and yellow. So you could do like, I saw that Cancer rules squash, but I'm thinking, and pumpkin. So I'm thinking like sweet potato, those kind of things, like a sweet potato bisque. Or I'm also, it's making me think of Cancer rules like different types of fish and crab, right? Like that's the symbol for Cancer, the crab. So fish, like maybe even being pescatarian, removing meat, but then still eating fish. Um, and I'll tell you why I think that in a second, because I'll just tell you in a second. Um, what other things that I write down? So that it's like Cancer also rules the digestive tract. So anything that's like fiber, right? Like flaxseed, I'm thinking hemp seeds, chia seeds, um like lots of different kind of seeds that's gonna like have fiber and move things through. So here's another thing that I'll say for you though, like I don't know, I think we're all a little sensitive in one way or another about our digestive tract. Like I don't know, it's kind of like that personal thing, like it deals with, I don't know, farting and everything else, right? So, and I feel like especially for women, because we're judged for that, it's like, you know, we're not supposed to, we don't want to smell or we don't want to whatever, right? So I feel like we already have this natural, like, like hiding it, you know? And so even those kind of emotional limitations can affect your digestive system and the way things are moving. Like, you know how when you get anxious, this is, I don't know if I'm gonna actually tell this story. In high school, I used to be so nervous to fart, right? I was like, if I ever fart in class and someone hears me, I'll die. So I would hold my farts for dear life. Like I would clench, like, and it would be like right after my lunch, the class right after lunch, and I'm eating like pizza for lunch, and I would just hold it and hold it and hold it, and then I would be anxious because I like was shy in class and felt nervous around like all the people in the class, right? And so then it would be quiet, and then y'all know how it goes when you hold in your farts and then they go back in and they make that bubbling sound, and it's like not good for your body, right? But it's like then the emotional stress of trying to hold yourself in that way just adds more pressure to the situation. If I had this information, would I have farted in class? No. But I just wish that um I had looked at it differently, or like at least at the very least, you know, known like how emotionally that's affecting you and how it's like you're literally holding in like negative energy and like things that need to be transferred through. So I guess I'm kind of saying don't be embarrassed. Like, don't be embarrassed or even feel bad about like digestive tract issues. You know, like it's like these are just things that we all deal with. But I just feel like, I don't know, I always has been like really hard on myself, as if these things aren't natural, or as if like if someone sees me do this, you know, like they're gonna laugh, they'll all laugh at me and I'm not, you know, then I'm gross, or you know, and then it's like you're putting yourself through hell trying to hold in a fart. Like it's hell, it's hell, don't do that. But so that's another thing. um what else was it? Okay, so Also, I feel like using essential oils. I've been kind of mentioning a few for all the ones I've done so far. Essential oils are good because it's like the really potent concoction of something, right? So it's like you're getting like all this strong potent um energy from wherever, whatever you need, right? Like lavender or something. So for cancer, cancer rules pine essential oil, like pine trees. So even just having that around to like smell from your hands or put in a diffuser could be comforting for you, emotionally comforting for you. And what that does is you can use that for inflammation, to reduce inflammation, helps circulation. It helps with bloating and water retention, so putting it on your belly. um it's good for like slow metabolism. And so that's kind of what I was saying about like certain things. Keep certain essential oils in the bathroom if you deal with like slow metabolism issues or like digestive issues, right? Like have those ones that like you keep for that type of stuff, right? And then it's good for clearing mucus too, right? So clearing up in here also. um yes. And then another thing I'll say too, just because we all have different things that we deal with and different, like, I don't know, eating things, everyone's different with that, right? Like chlorophyll is like um taking the chlorophyll from green vegetables and then like they bottle it up, right? So it's like a liquid and you put it in a dropper. I know I'm looking over here and that the camera's over here, but just work with me. So you can drop that in water. And I feel like even you could do ritual with that, right? Because like you literally have water, then you literally have like the potent chlorophyll that comes from vegetables that is ruled by cancer, right? So that's already like a rich magical concoction ready to happen when you add the right intention. But that's really helpful like if you struggle with fiber and you know that you need that, but you struggle getting that in every day. Chlorophyll water is really, really good for that and good for clearing out digestive system. And that I can say from personal experience. So it's good. You can just put it in your water, put it in your water bottle, take it like 2-3 times a day. You don't need a lot of it either, like 4 drops. You don't have to like have a lot of it, or then it's honestly kind of gross if you overdo it, in my opinion. um yeah. So what else? I'm gonna get into that. So randomly I saw that cancer rules chalk, and I was just a few days ago watching chalk ASMR where they take the chalk blocks and they crush them all up. And it was very satisfying for me to watch. So that's kind of a side note. It might help you emotion, or it might be satisfying to you emotionally. Um, and maybe something you just want to have playing like during your cycle or something like that. I don't know, but I just was watching it and I was like, this is actually really therapeutic and comforting and satisfying to watch, right? And it's like you hear the sound of the chalk. It's just good. I don't know, it's just good. It's good. So that's a random one, but you know, use it how you want. Um what else? Okay, so yeah, and so now I want to go into the womb a little bit. So, where do I want to start with that? Okay, so because cancer rules the emotions, right? Your reproductive system in your womb is like a big emotional center. Like it holds a lot of emotions, and it holds also like the lineage of the mother as well. Cancer rules motherhood and the mother, right? So it's like not only are we carrying our own traumas and our own issues, but then the issues passed on from our mother, her mother, her mother, her mother, right? So like there's really like this emotional purging that like comes with cancer energy and the reproductive system, and then like literally birth, right? So one thing I was going to say is like if you are having a baby, you might benefit with having a doula to help you with your birth. Like that might be, because I'm just thinking something about comfort and kind of just like having that feminine support by you to help you, compared to like going to the going and just being kind of subjected to whatever the hospital is going to bring to you. Like I know many people have a healthy, safe hospital births, but I'll say I also know that for Black women, like we're more likely to die when giving childbirth, because we're not often listened to when we're in pain at the hospital. So it's like that alone, then the anxiety from that, right? And then just the madness of literally like creating a child inside your body, birthing it out. Like it's just like everything that comes with that is already crazy. And then you're going to the doctor and it's like a man who's gonna pull the baby, help you birth the baby, and like he doesn't even really know, and then he's possibly likely to be white, and so he's not even gonna be relating to you. So that's what I'm saying, like having a doula, like, or doing a home birth might be something that could be inspiring to you. Just from what I'm seeing and from what I know a little bit about that kind of stuff. And so then that takes me to this. Try this book, Sacred Woman by Queen Afua, where she goes really deep into all this type of stuff. And when I started with my womb stuff for me, which is really still a work in progress for me, as I was looking through all this stuff, I'm like, I'm still dealing with this shit a lot. Like I'm still really working through this cancer energy a lot. Like it's a big thing for me, but I've made a lot of progress. And when I got that book, the stuff in there, you know, like it's really just a good, I wish I should have got it out, but she talks about the womb and she talks about her own experiences of having a child, having birth, and how the doctors treated her when she had her birth. And it just like, it's a really, really good book and it's helpful, right? And it's like she goes deep, and her suggestions is like you have to be in the space to do what she's asking you to do, because it's like she's telling you some stuff. It's real, like you gotta be diligent. It takes diligence, and I'd be lying if I said that I did like as far as, because she has like eating, juices, and like being like a whole routine. So it takes time, and I think that's another thing, like being patient with yourself. Like it's hard to just like, okay, I'm gonna get this book and then I'm gonna do all this juicing and then I'm gonna bop 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 and then my womb will be healed. Like, nah, I don't think so. But it's a really good book to help you get started with that. Yeah. And so then that makes me think of like yoni eggs, which is hold on, I'll show you. And then I can tell you like a personal story with this egg. Hold on. So this is a yoni egg. It's just like a little egg. They have different sizes that you can get. I feel like there's ones that are smaller than this and a bit bigger than this. And so basically, you just kind of put it, up inside your body, um, and sleep overnight with it. Do certain ritual with it, meditate while it's there, up in there, right? And then um it can give you a whole, like, it could just really, it does a lot. It's like, it would be hard for me to tell you what it'll do because it'll be different for everyone, right? But like, it can help you remember, certain traumatic experiences that maybe you've forgotten. That happened for me when I used this. Um, and also, this is like a onyx one, like a black onyx, and Cancer rules black onyx. So it's like this one would be a good one. But then also, I learned Cancer rules selenite and just crystals in general. So having crystals around you, I may have said that, but having crystals around you is good. But yeah, like I just had like a whole mind opening experience. And it's kind of like you set your intention with the egg of what you want to know, or what your intention is with using it, and asking like your guides to help you with this experience, right? And then so then it's kind of like immediately, even just having it around you, if you don't want to insert it, having it around you can even help. But it's like, I just remember my mind opening up, and that more so I was feeling the feelings from the trauma more so than remembering the actual trauma, but like feeling the frustration and the anger and the like, um just that grit of the grit of it. I just remember feeling that, and like I was like screaming and saying no. And it was like it was a purge, an emotional purge for me. So I'll say use it with caution and be ready to use it, because you kind of don't, you be ready for what you're gonna get, right? But if you're wanting to like heal or tap into that, that's good for that. And then also yoni steaming. And this is what I learned from Queen Afua in the book, Sacred Woman. It's like yoni steaming is ideal for bad periods, but also just like for your well-being and for your happiness. Like I'm telling you, it makes you happy. It makes you feel really, really good. And you can get like herbs that are already made for that, right? Like they pick the herbs for you and put it in there. But I'm thinking you can even make your own. Like pick the herbs that you know you need for your womb, and then use those. And you just get hot water, steam it, steep it for like how many minutes? I feel like it's about 20 minutes or so, something like that. Don't boil them. I don't think you're supposed to boil them. It's more of like a simmer for 20 minutes, and then you sit over it. And then you can get like a seat that helps you sit over it. Some people just squat over it, but I feel like it's nice to have a seat so you can relax. Look that up though, yoni steaming, because when I started doing that, I noticed a really, really big change in my periods. And in myself and my body, and just how I felt in general. Like it's so soothing to have the steam and everything else with that. So I highly recommend that. Um yeah, and really, because also of just like the emotional aspect of it, it's also just about how gentle you are with yourself. Like when you're thinking about Cancer, right? The mom, it's like mothering yourself has a big part of the dealing with this kind of energy, how you treat yourself. Like, I know for me, I used to be really, really hard on myself when it came to these kind of things, and that I would just shun them away. And when you do that, you can even feel it inside your body. Like, there's a lack of comfort, there's a lack of warmth on the inside of your body. Like, if you know what I'm talking about, you know, like, it's cold on the inside of your body. And I just feel like sometimes it's how you treat yourself and how gentle you are with yourself. Like, when you're on your period, and I remember Queen of Fu said this also, like, how you think about your period and how you talk about your period is going to affect your period. Like, if you literally hate your period and every time it comes you're like, this fucking period, or like, oh, these fucking cramps, and fuck this, and like, it affects, like, your body hears you and your body's like, okay. And so then that's going to affect how you see the whole situation. And even I'm thinking childbirth, you know, it's like childbirth is one of those things I feel like, especially in society right now, like, women are afraid of it because it is already scary. But it's kind of that balance between, like, how much work do I want to do, and then how much does it take to be a mom, and like, do I want to be a mom, and what comes with being a mom, and am I ready for that, and like, do I really want to even do that? And I feel like we're in this thing of like, no, you know, women aren't feeling as inspired or as safe to have kids anymore, you know, or feeling, even like feeling barren, like, I can't have them. Like, it's probably likely that if I were to try, I couldn't have them. And like, these are all really traumas, and like, we don't even really live in a society that makes space for us to feel safe to like do these things, but then we still do them. You know, it's like, it's still happening, but I feel like we don't even live in a world that is comforting enough where it's like, yes, like, I feel safe. I really want to settle down and have kids and just focus on that, right? Like, it's like, I don't know. It's that like half and half of like, yeah, I kind of do, but then also I really want to put in work and make all this money and like do this, you know? So that goes into other stuff. Like, that's a bigger conversation. But these kind of thoughts, like, notice these thoughts. Notice how you think about it, how you think about pregnancy and motherhood. If you don't want to have kids, sometimes it can literally be because of like parent and mother resentment. Like, that's another thing, right? Of like, how you remember your childhood being and how you felt being a child, and saying like, oh, well, I would never want to put my kid through the same stuff, or I don't want them to feel how I felt, so I just don't want to have kids. Like, I just want to, you know, be free and whatever. um you know, it's like, these are just all thoughts that we have, and then like, that affects the womb, and then how we see ourselves, how we see our femininity, and a lot of other stuff, right? So yeah. I think also recalling and noting your traumatic womb experiences is a big part of it. Like, in the book, Queen of Fu also has like, what are they called? Prompts for you to write about just certain things that you remember. So like, certain fears, womb traumas, and they don't have to be like the biggest, most traumatic experience, although those do matter, but it can be like, all kind of, me holding in my farts in high school. That shit's it had an effect, even though it's not like the biggest thing, right? But like, these are just like things that it's good to keep note of and notice how you deal with this energy, and how you view the energy also. And I think also taking note of your relationships, the people in your life, and how that's affected you too, right? Like, think about your relationship with your mom and your grandma. Think about your relationship with your friends, your feminine friends. How has that gone? How do y'all relate to each other? Of course, think about your relationship with the men in your life, your father, your first partners, whatever, like all these things, you know. Your womb remembers it all. Like, it takes account of it all and holds on to the trauma of it all. Yeah. And so that's what I wanted to say, right? Because I used to have the worst, the freaking worst. And then it was just, I saw 544, and that number literally means like verity, truth. So that was the Most High saying, yes, I support what she's telling you. I used to have the worst, grueling periods ever, where the cramps were so bad that I would scream. Like, I remember one time having the worst period and I was just laying on the floor screaming and like yelling for help. Okay? And that was with Advil. Advil was taken, and I'm still on the floor screaming and just like rolling in pain, and then just the shittiest, just shitty periods, like having to stay home sometimes because of periods, clotting, just all the craziness, right? And it was around that time that then I got the book Sacred Woman, and then I also started yoni steaming, doing yoga, like stretching and changing my eating habits. But I'll tell you, like, I'm still definitely far from perfect in that area. So I don't know, for anyone who struggles with that and is feeling like I ain't shit with eating, so if I can't fix that, like, I probably won't fix anything. No, you still can make a difference, because it's like those emotional traumas make a difference also. Purging those, and then also, you know, but it does matter, it does still matter though. And I think also I can give a little tip, like, if you can get colonics, get a colonic. Like, see if you can get a colonic, because that should help me so much. Like, that alone, because it's like, not only is it like removing waste, but it's also removing the spiritual attachment to the waste. Like, you will feel lighter for more than one reason if you get one. So I don't know, that's just for, I don't know, I just highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. But since I've done those kind of things, I don't have, my periods aren't as heavy anymore. Like, they used to be so heavy, like using multiple pads, like crazy. Don't deal with that anymore. Still have to take ibuprofen, but like, it helps, and I'm not rolling on the floor anymore at all. As long as I take the ibuprofen, I literally feel good to go. So I'm just like, get the book and try doing the work, because you can heal your periods. Like, you don't have to just deal with, you don't just have to be in pain forever. Like, there are ways to help you work with it, and spiritual ways to help you work through it too, you know? And I didn't go, like, I've been to the doctor and talked to the doctor, my gynecologist about these things. And, you know, what she had to tell me was that, yeah, like, most women have tough periods. That's what she had to say. That's really what she had to say. And then that was basically that was the gist. Okay. And so, like, if I had just said, okay, like, let me just keep dealing with it, and not do any other research, I'd still be rolling in the bed once a month, like in the pain of my life. I mean, I remember like even crying to my mom, like, I can't do this with my periods anymore. I can't. Like, it was just a disaster. And I feel like I was purging a lot of shit though. I was purging a lot of like deep shit. So, like, you know, it got worse before it got better, but it's like I'm better for it today, most definitely. Like, I'm so happy that I had all those experiences. So, you know, I just highly recommend. And then I'm thinking of times when it's like I would talk to my friends about it and like they never had heavy periods. You know, they're like, nah, not really, mine's pretty light, like I don't really deal with that, you know. And like how frustrating that can be, of like, I once a month I'm over here basically dying and like you're good, and then you just like use one tampon and you're good, like, you know. So there's sometimes deeper traumas. And then if we're talking ancestrally, that's kind of really, I'm talking about Black women, like our trauma goes deep and long, unfortunately. Like, it just goes long and far, far back. So that's attached to it. And it's attached to the way we look at ourselves and how we're seen and everything else. So it's good. Like, just do it and do the steams. Like, do the yoni steams. Like, even if the first thing, do the yoni steams. Because what that does also is help melt um what is it called, not clots, but I guess cysts. Like, it can help melt the dried blood that may be stuck to your uterus, so that then when your period comes, it helps you push out all that is making it hard for your uterus to feel comfortable, right? Because it's got like dried blood or old, you know, stuff stuck to it. So yes. And let me see what else, if there's anything else. I just heard in my like in my ear, write a letter. So I feel like, and that may even be one of the prompts in the book, but if it's not, writing a letter like to the people in your life that you know have participated in your trauma in some way, right? Like, is also a good way to purge these emotions, just as a little side tip. But I feel like I should have just brought the book out here, but I feel like that's in there. And then the last thing I'll say is, I think I said it before, but you don't have to be perfect to make changes. That's what I'll say. Like, don't wait to be perfect, or don't wait to look like Queen Afua, right, to do it. Like, because she's done this work a long time, right? Or like, it's just like when you see the end result and you're like, okay, I'm trying to get to that. But then it's like, it takes time and it's a process. So be cool with the process, and be cool with not being perfect, and be cool with like, still probably you're gonna want to eat milk and cheese, and like you still may for like a nice amount of time, or you might not, you know, like there may be some things that are easier for you to let go of, and some things that are gonna stick to you longer based on what you've been through, who you are, what you're used to, right? So it's like, just be patient with yourself and trust that it does happen, but just that it takes time, and that you don't have to be perfect, and that you probably never will, right? Like, we probably never will, but there's little things that you can always do to help manage yourself and take care of yourself, and also be gentle with yourself. So yeah. And even with, and here's the last thing I'll say, even with being gentle, use a heating pad when you have cramps. You know, set your bed up in a way where it's cozy, where your pillows are surrounding you in a way that's cozy. Put a pillow between your legs when you're cramping. Don't just lay there like a stick. Like, I used to just lay there hella uncomfortable with my neck all bent and like just loathing the whole experience. And when you loathe it, it's gonna loathe you. You know, like when you hate it, it hates you back. So it's like, set it up that way. Like, get the comfy sweats, get the right socks, get the right oils that make you, get your teddy bear. I don't care if you're 45, get the teddy bear if you're dealing with these kind of things, because that's Cancer energy, mothering. So it's like being kind and cozy and gentle with yourself is a big part of managing this energy and taking care of this energy. So yeah. And then another thing that I just thought of, how we think of feminine energy is big too. Because I'm just thinking of, I don't know, like when I started doing these things, I was thinking of feminine energy of like how I wanted to look. You know, like I'm like, I want to be sacred woman feminine so that I can look pretty and beautiful and earthy and all that, right? And like at that time, I didn't feel like I did. Now, on a personal level, do I feel like I embody that? Yes. But how I'm thinking about it is way different than I thought about it then. Like when I thought about it then, I'm just like, I just want to look like the feminine goddess. But then it's like, what it really is like, don't even relate it to that. Like, don't relate it to your body or your body shape or like how your hips are shaped. Like, don't think about that. Don't think about that. And that it honestly will come regardless. Cause like, I don't know. Like, I've just seen my own transformation, and like, did I think that I was gonna feel the way or look how I feel like I look, right? And like, I'm trying to, you know, I'm just saying personally for me, like my journey, like, did I think that I would be where I'm at? No. And like, did I think that I was doing enough the whole time? No. Like, that's another thing. Like, I'm still hard on myself and still feel like I haven't done enough, still need to do a whole bunch more, won't be good enough still. But it's like, if I could give you a side by side comparison, like, I'm not gonna, I don't want to, but like, it would be a good way for me to show you just that, like, you know, the evolution is real, but when you focus internally and don't place it on how you look or how you're going to be seen, it's helpful. Like, that's a big part of it. I just want to add that, like, don't do the steam in the hope of like, oh, then my vagina will be ready for sex for when I get to this person, or like, none of that, you know, like, make it about you and like healing you and for you on the inside, right? So yeah. So that's Cancer energy and ways that you can manage those ailments. So I hope that that was helpful for you, and thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. I'm going to do Leo at some point. And Leo rules the heart space, so there's lots with that too. Yeah, but take care, and I'm going to see you in the next one. Bye.